All right. Sorry to keep you waiting, guys.
Welcome
Sir
back.
Antonio, Sly Guy. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm a few minutes late. By the way, everyone, my name is DJ David
It's all
Beat.
right.
Uh, it is now 10:22 in the evening. That's Manila Standard Time. And finally, I've been asking the Sly Guy if he can help me find a guy who belongs to the Star Trek community, a fan club community in the Philippines, because I have been obsessed with this comic book that I lately received from a friend. It's a crossover between the Green Lantern Corps and Star Trek.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's called the Spectrum
Mhm.
War.
Hmm.
Yeah, and it's right there. And yes, it has been a very long time, but finally we found our Star Trek guest or our Trekkie guest who has
And
been watching Star Trek.
to be honest, Sir Flash Antonio, I don't have too much knowledge about Star Trek. That's why
It's
that's
fine.
why
That's totally fine.
I find this episode very special. And the Sly Guy will do much of the talking. I'll just work more on the visuals. Sly Guy, go ahead. Further introduce the guy.
Oh yes, I thought you were a Trekkie. So, finally, but anyway, this guy has been watching Star Trek since
I think his internet is having
I'm
some
back.
difficulties. Sir Flash, back in the day, I thought Star Trek and Star Wars were rivals. Hindi naman pala.
No, 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 no.
yes,
Well,
they
I
work
don't
hand in
like to
hand.
think. I don't like to think they're like rivals because I
It's
think
because of the word
locally,
star kasi.
yeah, in a way probably, but um, like here in the Philippines, so we have local fan groups, and the local fan groups for Star Trek and Star Wars, the people who launched that are actually from the same community. So the founding fathers of Star Wars Philippines and the founding fathers of Star Trek Philippines are pretty much the same people. They're from the same
Yep.
circle. So I think in other countries, like let's say North America, there's this like divide
Mhm.
over Trek and Star Wars. Like if you're a Trekkie, you can't be like a Star Wars fan, or there's like animosity between them. But here in the Philippines, I don't think we have that. A lot of the Star Trek people are also into Star Wars, and a lot of the Star Wars people are also into Star Trek.
Mhm.
So I think
Yes.
there's no major.
Yeah, there's no major rift between the Star Wars and the Star
Yeah.
Trek community. So yeah, you've been watching Star Wars since the next generation, right? With guys like Jean-Luc
Yes.
Picard and Worf, Data, William Riker.
Yes. So
Okay.
I mean, like my first contact with uh Star Trek. Sorry, I think my Wi-Fi is acting up. Anyway, my first contact
Yeah,
with
that's the Star Trek
the
cat
Star Trek
on the
was
screen.
in, yeah, that's Data's cat Spot.
That's Data's cat. Oh yeah, Spot.
Yeah. So I started with Trek around late 80s, early 90s. Here in the Philippines, RPN9 was able to secure the broadcasting rights to Star Trek: The Next Generation, and that was my first contact with Star Trek. Um, I remember like I would watch it Thursday nights, if I'm not mistaken, or like about that
Hmm.
time, and it's past 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 9 o'clock, I think, or thereabouts, and that was my first introduction to Trek, and I instantly fell in love with Star Trek. I think now you can watch the entire series on Netflix. So if there are
Hmm.
people who
Right.
want to catch up on if there are people who want to catch up on Trek, you can go to Netflix and you can watch a lot of the series. All of a bunch of them are there. Star Trek: The
Hmm.
Next Generation, obviously with Jean-Luc Picard and Data. I'm wearing a Star
Hmm.
Trek Next Generation Starfleet uniform and a com
Yeah,
badge.
that's Data's
So yeah,
uniform.
this is Data's uniform. So you can see Data there. You can see Captain Jean-Luc Picard. This book right here is like the novel version of the final episode. So like the final
Ah.
episode of the entire 7 seasons, all good things. This is the companion piece. This is the novel form. Um, and so like you have a bunch of characters, and I'm a big fan of space travel. And so with space travel, I've always been keen on finding more people who work together and live in space. And so in the 80s, that was like the show that I watched. uh Other shows that are on Netflix right now are, if I'm not mistaken, DS9 and Voyager and Enterprise. So
Hmm. Yes.
for those who are you know into Star Trek and trying to watch something legal here in the Philippines, you can you can catch them on Netflix. You'd be able to watch them on Netflix.
All right, shout outs to Roach Escueta. He said shared na on all three pages and in my profile. Thank you, sir.
So
Hello,
Roches Quetta,
Roach. Thank you.
our early bird, early na bird ba? Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Roach Esqueta. So to give guys an idea about Star Trek, because a lot of people, especially the younger people, might be intimidated by it. Eh. But
Yes.
if you guys watch Chris Pratt's movie, Passengers, okay, if you guys have seen that movie, and if you haven't, please watch it because that would be a good starting point. It's similar to that. It's like living normally in outer space. It's like
Yeah.
the story of Passengers is Chris Pratt is in this hibernation chamber because space travel can take years. So you have to be in suspended animation for you to survive a trip. So he wakes up early and then he he's alone. He has this robot butler that keeps him
Yeah.
company. But then he's so lonely, he wakes up another passenger, and then they find out there's something wrong with the ship, and then the ship gets damaged. But it's drama. That's basically what Star Trek is. If Star Wars, you've got non-stop action, magic, fantasy. This is more science based, so it's more accurate. So 1,000 years in the future, this may be what humans will be doing in the future. So since we're going to be starting, if we want an introduction to Star Trek for you guys, where it actually all begins is discovery. So that's the very first part. So, Sir Flash, can you please tell us a little bit about discovery?
Okay, so Discovery is a prequel series. So the original Star Trek, like in terms of like the year it was released, is the original series. Okay, Star Trek, the original series with William Shatner,
Yep,
Leonard
William
Nimoy, rest
Shatner,
in
Leonard
peace.
Nimoy.
Yeah. So it was the dream of Gene Roddenberry. He's
Mhm,
the creator of Star Trek. It's pretty much what George Lucas is to Star Wars.
yes.
So Gene Roddenberry thought of like how would like what would our future be like if people actually worked together, at the best of their abilities, and there
Mhm,
was equality, and there was freedom, and it was about fostering freedom and space
mhm.
exploration and discovering planets and discovering civilizations. Oh, Joey Prats is watching. Hello, Joey. Good
Live
evening,
long and prosper. Nice.
Chef Joey Prats. So,
Mhm,
um, going back to that, the original series was released, I think, like 50 something years ago, 50, 60 years
mhm,
ago, and I think, yeah, quite recently we just celebrated the anniversary of the original series. The the current series right now, which is Star Trek Discovery, is a
mhm,
prequel to that. So
mhm,
here's a funny thing. When Star Trek Discovery came out, a lot of people tried to watch it on um, CBS, Paramount,
mhm,
and locally, you know, uh, some of the Star Trek fans were able to catch up when Star Trek Discovery was shown on Netflix. So there are currently
mhm,
three seasons of Star Trek Discovery.
mhm,
However, just in time for tonight's live stream, well, not
mhm,
really. It's a bit sad because the fourth season of Star Trek Discovery is now removed. Like the entire Star Trek Discovery can no longer be found in on Netflix,
Oh
which
no.
is a
So
bit
how
sad.
will people
Yeah, so how
watch?
will
How will
people
your
watch
wife
it?
watch?
Yeah. So so the thing is, uh people will probably have to watch it somewhere else in the US. People would be able to watch it with Paramount Plus, which is their own streaming service showing Paramount shows. Uh I think with Canada they have their own like Crave, I think like a cable channel. And
Mhm,
then like unfortunately, international fans for Star Trek Discovery would be left with no viable option except to probably
mhm,
have a VPN and try to watch it on Paramount Plus. But
mhm,
Star Trek Discovery for me, for the past 3 years, it was one of the best shows to get into Star Trek. So most of the people would think that Star Trek is intimidating. It's
mhm,
daunting, nakakatakot to watch Star
mhm.
Trek because there's just so many shows already. There's the original series, there's the next
Yep.
generation, which is 7 seasons. You have DS9, you have Voyager, you have Enterprise, then you have like at least 12 movies, 12, 15 movies. And so the easiest way for people to actually get on Trek is the Chris Pine movies, which is just the more recent ones, the what we would call the Kelvin timeline.
Mhm,
So the Kelvin timeline are the three movies, Star Trek, uh, what was the other one, and then Star Trek Beyond. So um,
mhm,
I wish that more people would get into Star Trek because Star Trek is a very fun fandom once you get the hang of it. You know, um, when I
mhm,
was introducing Star Trek to some of my friends in the office and to my son, I told them that Star Trek: The Next Generation is pretty much a leadership training seminar in space. I'm
Yes,
not
yes, I agree.
okay. So I'm going to use that quote. Star Trek: The Next Generation. Well, for me, when I was watching it, and then like when I rewatched the series on Netflix, so I spent like 2 years watching everything again on Netflix. And 7 seasons with 23 episodes each.
Mm.
That's a lot of shows.
Yep, it
That's a
is a
lot of
lot
hours
of
to
content.
burn. Okay. And so like watching Star Trek The Next Generation again and trying to yeah, Beastie Boys lagi sinasama sa
Oh
lyrics
yes,
and
Beastie
MTV's. Yes,
Boys.
because of the influences for Beastie Boys.
Mhm.
Um it's interesting about The Next Generation because like every time I look at Captain Jean-Luc Picard, he's almost always like managing like a CEO. So it's a leadership training
Yes.
seminar in space. And mind you, when you watch Star Trek, the vessel, the starship is also a character. Like
Mhm.
the USS Enterprise, you see it like right beside me.
Yep.
So like as much as there are a lot of characters in the different shows, the ships themselves, they're not just settings. So obviously it's set in a starship. They're
Yep.
flying through space. But for me, the ship itself are also characters. And so, going back to to the question earlier, like, can you tell me more about the USS Discovery? So the USS, well, the show Star Trek Discovery, the show features the USS Discovery, which is a science vessel. Okay,
Mm.
and if I'm not mistaken, it is try to have some notes, the NCC 1031. So it's like having like a brand name for a for a starship. But yeah, so for those who haven't
Mm.
gotten into Star Trek yet, so if you haven't gotten into Star Trek, so like let's say David is just getting into Star Trek. Obviously, the
Mm.
first ship that you get introduced to is the flagship, the USS Enterprise. Typically, it is viewed as the premier, ship of the Federation in Starfleet. And then as you go to each of the new shows, as you go to different shows, you get introduced to different ships.
Mm.
Obviously the Star Trek Voyager has the USS Voyager, NCC 74656. The one beside
Mm.
me is the USS Enterprise. This is from the next generation.
Mm.
So this is the NCC 1701D. So ano ba yung Star Trek? Okay, so let's get into that notion. So like what is Star Trek? So Star Trek is like the immediate like names that you would hear watching Star Trek would be the United Federation of Planets and Starfleet.
Mhm.
Starfleet, so dalawa yan. So that's the
Yep.
United Federation of Planets and Starfleet. So what is the United Federation of Planets? So I'm going to segue a little bit into this new show called Star Trek Prodigy. It's a new show. It's on Nickelodeon.
The
Uh,
Protostar this time.
the Protostar. So the United Federation of Planets is an interstellar union of different worlds and species with shared principles of universal liberty, rights, and equality. Think of it as your international United Nations. That's siyang UN. Okay, so you have like
Mhm.
different countries working together with the UN. So the United
Mm.
Federation of Planets is just like that. So you have Earth and and like Vulcan. So that's another
Yep,
planet.
the
And so like
Vulcans.
you have different races living on different planets. You have
Mm.
Klingons and so like different races. And so like all of those races work together. Okay? So they have this shared except yay! Hello Nina Reyes. It is the United Nations of
Hello.
Planets. So yun yung pinakamadaling way. So So if you're yeah, so a lot of
It's
my
actually
Star
the
Trek
the
friends are
United
watching.
Planets.
Yeah, it's like you're united. Yeah, so that's the United Federation of Planets. So what is Starfleet? So Starfleet now is your representatives. They are the representatives of the United Federation of Planets. They are
Mm.
your explorers. Okay, so they're not interstellar police. So like let's say Green Lanterns, diba? Like you were mentioning the Spectrum War earlier. So the Green Lanterns are pretty much interstellar police. Starfleet are not necessarily police nor military, but they have a military uh, hierarchy in background. Starfleet, they're like Navy, they're space Navy. So even the
Mhm.
uniforms, the ranking, they have admirals, they have captains. So it's set up like a Navy. So ganun mo siya maintindihan. That's the easiest way. And they are like you would always hear this on every Star Trek show. They are on a mission to maintain peace and freedom, to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new civilizations, and to boldly go where no one has gone before.
Yes.
That is the premise of Starfleet. So if you see people dressing up like, in a uniform, that's a Starfleet uniform. And they come in different races. So hindi lang sila humans. You have Klingons with, Spock with a pointy ears,
Yep. The
right? You
Vulcans.
have sorry, the Vulcans. And then you have the Klingons with Worf.
Yep.
Um
The war like
you have the
race.
Bajorans. Like there are so many different races on Trek, and they for the most part they work together for, for exploration and harmony in space.
Mhm.
So it's a nice, like all of the negativity right now that you see on the news, alam mo yun, people fighting, there's racism.
Mhm.
All of those have been featured on Star Trek at some point. Racism is discussed in Star Trek in the form of like let's say xenophobia. You're afraid of
Mhm. Right.
another race. You want to, treat another race differently, a different species. So
Yeah.
hindi
Speaking
siya
of species, sorry to interrupt,
yeah,
but speaking of species, does the Borg Queen and the Borg count as their own species?
that's a good question. So the Borg, so ito, like I
Because
have
they're
this
like
Borg.
an entire race by themselves. Eh.
Yeah,
Francis
they are pretty
Herman
much
Gordo
race.
says it seems that Star Trek is interesting. It has
Oh,
always
yes,
Yeah,
it
it
been.
is.
is.
Very
It is
interesting.
very interesting. So if you haven't started Star Trek, um I was sharing this with some of my friends. 2021 onwards is the best time to be a Star Trek fan because there are just so many shows that you can choose from. So kung
Hmm.
takot kayo to start with Star Trek, wow, like oh my god, Star Trek is so intimidating. The easiest I think right now is you start with Star Trek Prodigy kasi it's
Yes.
geared towards children, and so like some of the Star Trek principles and like common themes like the com badge or the universal translator or the replicator or like a starship ini-explain done
Mhm.
to kids pretty much. It's the easiest way for you to actually get into Star Trek. However, for those that are about intermediate to advanced and you don't want like something too basic, I would recommend Star Trek Discovery. It's a bit
Yes.
of a slow burn. Medyo slow burn lang siya eh. Kasi, like you have to build the world, like obviously the first season is
Mhm.
pretty much world building. Okay? So when you have world building, it tends to start off a bit slow and then it pays off towards the season ender. So those are the two shows that I can recommend right now. Plus, of course, the movie. So if you have Netflix at home, uh, you can watch the Kelvin movies, the Kelvin timeline movies, the Chris Pine movies. So
Mhm.
para hindi kayo malito, Captain James Kirk, right? So that's the
Mhm.
character that Chris Pine plays. It's the same character as William Shatner's. So
Hmm.
si so Zachary Pinto who plays Spock plays the
Mhm.
same character as Leonard Nimoy.
Leonard
So it's the
Nimoy.
same.
Okay.
Pero medyo modernized lang sila kasi obviously the original crew have been, you know, some of them have, have passed on, and
Yeah.
a bunch of them are a bit older.
Mhm.
George Takei, is still there. You have William
Mhm.
Shatner. So yun, like, and then hopefully you get so into Star Trek that you start checking out the other shows. So a lot of my
Mhm.
friends love Star Trek Voyager with Janeway, Captain Janeway. Some of my friends like DS9 with the first African American captain, Benjamin Sisko.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
yan, si Sisko to. If you
This
see
is Cisco.
this
Spare.
that's Sisko. So you have Picard. So this is for Deep Space Nine. Then you have Cisco. Um, different ships, different shows have different captains, and so
Mhm.
people remember the shows because of the captains. The Jean-Luc Picard, Captain James Kirk, Benjamin Sisko for DS9, Captain Janeway for Voyager, Archer for Enterprise, and so on and so
And
forth.
William Riker never became captain, right?
He
Or
became
commander
captain.
lang siya. Or he
He
became
became
captain.
cap-
Oh, okay.
became captain.
But did he have his own show?
Not his own show, but he figures prominently in Star Trek Picard. So
Ah, okay.
if you hear Star Trek Picard, ano yung Picard? Okay, so Picard is its own series, which is a spin-off from the original Star Trek: The Next Generation. So Star Trek: The Next Generation was released in 1987. Medyo matagal na siya.
Mhm.
Okay, and I think the last season aired on 1993. About 7 years, 7 or so years.
Mhm.
Um, Obviously, it's one of the most popular shows, and it has one of the
Mhm.
most popular casts. And
Yep.
so they revisited the character of Captain Jean-Luc Picard with another show, with another series, which is Star Trek Picard, which is
Mm,
now
okay.
on, I think, season 2 next year.
Mhm.
So exciting times, exciting times.
Yeah.
Madaming shows about Star Trek ngayon. And so for those who are watching this live stream, you have a lot of options. You have a lot of options. If you started watching the next generation and then you somewhat fell off, you can come back with Star Trek Picard.
Mhm.
Kung gusto niyo ng animated na
Lower
comedy,
decks.
Lower Decks. So you can go
Yun.
Star Trek Lower Decks. So pwede yon. Comedy ang vibe niya. Each episode is only 20 minutes, but
Mm.
it's set in the era of Star Trek The Next Generation. Ganito.
Mm.
It's from this era. So like si Riker, which is one of the characters from The Next Generation, would appear as an animated character on Star Trek
Mhm.
Lower Decks. And I would recommend Lower Decks kasi laugh trip siya eh. Okay, but some of the jokes, if you're not into Star Trek yet, hindi mo siya magigets. So it's a
Okay.
balance of like hindi siya parang like an entry level show for people.
Para supplemental show
I'll be
siya.
back 5 minutes.
Yes, sure.
Okay.
And going back to Lower Decks. Um, I've watched the
Mm.
first season. I've watched halfway through the second season, and
Okay.
ano siya, like if you're into Star Trek, it's a nice stress reliever because they
Hmm.
don't
Yes, I
they don't
agree.
really take themselves seriously. They actually poke fun at the seriousness of Star Trek. So
Hmm. Yeah.
para siyang parody show, pero hindi siya parody show. Alam mo 'yun?
Hmm.
They tend the characters tend to poke fun at the things on why Star Trek is a bit too serious for some people.
Oh, okay. Now, quick question about lower decks. Okay, because I've noticed in most of the other Star Wars groups, there are a lot of Wesley Crusher memes. So if you guys don't know who Wesley Crusher is, he's this
Will Wheaton.
person. I think his parents got him into the Enterprise. They used their influence to get him into the Enterprise. I'm not too
Well,
sure if that's
not necessarily. His mom
uh,
is the chief medical officer.
chief medical officer. There you go.
Yeah,
If
his
the
mom is
Enterprise.
Beverly Crusher. Yeah,
Hmm.
this lady right here.
There you go. So anyway, the memes I see about him in the other groups is like there's this one meme that says women. Oh, Captain Riker has lots of those. It was just posted there, and then there was this other one where he said, "Oh yes, I modified all the communicators. Now all of you can only talk to me." This is me just showing.
So yeah,
uh,
Will
And there's this
Wheaton
even
is
one meme about the him turning the holo deck into a dance hall where they would practice their dance moves. Parang ano eh,
yeah.
that's what yun yung pinakamadaming meme eh. With the holo deck dance hall meme.
Actually, the holodeck functions differently for different characters. Like let's
Hmm.
say Lieutenant Worf uses it as a training facility. Because he's a Klingon, he's bred for war. Okay,
Hmm.
some Starfleet characters would use it as a way for them to go on vacation without having
Hmm.
to
Right,
leave the
right.
ship. You know, one of the characters in Trek would use it as their own personal I think I remember like a dance with like a dance studio for Beverly
Yeah.
Crusher.
Hmm.
So Beverly is the mother of Will. Sorry, of Wesley.
Wesley,
So
okay, so that's where the meme came from because his mom turned it into
possibly.
a
Yeah,
dance
because
hall.
like she's a really good dancer. She's a really good dancer, and I think she
Oh,
danced
okay.
with. I think she danced with Data. Like there was an episode about them dancing together. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, um, the holodeck is one of those like features in a starship that is programmable. So you enter.
Hmm.
Oh, hello. I have Antonio cousins. Hello, Roach.
Oh, yes.
So
So you
cool.
might be related to
Could be
our
to
early
tonight's geek.
bird roach squira. Yes.
So I mean, there are so many different like terminologies and features in Trek. You have the phaser. You have you have the holodeck. You have com badges and tricorders and transporters and all that. And so I think right now really the best way to get into Star Trek very slowly is Star Trek Prodigy.
Yeah,
It's a new show.
I agree.
Currently it has 5 episodes. It has 5 episodes with Nickelodeon, and I think you watched it, right, Sly Guy?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I really loved the very first episode, especially the one with Dal RL, because
Yep.
it felt so relatable to him because he was like this slave in this mining planet, and when he just wanted to escape to get out, so he gets this hover truck and tries to fly through this ramp and get out. But then the plot thickens. You have this overlord who has this Borg bodyguard named Dreadnought, and then his
Yeah.
daughter Gwyn, the whatever cat people. And one scene I really liked was they were getting slaves, and when the
Yeah.
slave driver revealed that he got someone from their race who was really young, Gwen just completely
Yeah.
lost it, and she goes, ah,
Yeah.
she speaks in this alien language and says, if you bring another one this young again, you will be working the mines. And it showed
Yeah.
her as some sort of an anti-hero. She's like
Yeah.
this proud villain slash anti-hero, and that gives depth to her character as early as then all of a sudden they have her interrogate Dal because they need something like the first. I'm not too sure. The first, I'm not 100% sure what they were looking for. It was the first
John Russell
something.
Yao says, "Ayun."
Ayun, there, John
Hello.
Ross, Jedi Master Yao. Good evening, Jedi Master.
Thank
I
I
you
have a
hope to get a
question,
for.
Flash.
lightsaber from you next week.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
How many are you in the community in the? I mean, how
Star
many
Trek
are
Philippines.
you in the Trekkie community in the Philippines?
Okay, so like we have. So thank you for asking that question. We have a Facebook group called Star Trek Philippines or the USS Kalayaan. Um, it's one of the. Hello, John
Cheers.
Russell Yao. So it's one of the most tenured um hobby organizations, like geek communities in the Philippines. Uh, I think about that time with the Philippine Tolkien Society. So it's about 20 or so years old. Okay. Um, pre Facebook, pre Friendster. I think Yahoo Mail pa nga yung way for people to collaborate
Do
and
you keep any
coordinate.
record of how many members you have?
Right now, they're about 1,400. A lot of Star Trek fans I know are a bit reclusive. Okay, so it's not like an immensely big Facebook group, like let's say Star Wars Philippines, or um, it's more of a bit more subdued, I think, in terms of kasi almost everybody has a Facebook account, 'di ba? And you'd be
Mm.
surprised na oh, like if everybody has a Facebook account, bakit parang ang liit nung community? Like why is it a bit too few? Considering like 1,400 medyo maliit. But it's a very active community. And in fact, some people might actually find it intimidating nga din, even like posting in that,
Mhm.
because sometimes the discussions, the debates might get a little intense. But don't mind it. Like a lot of people there are very respectful. They value intelligent discussion. And ako personally, I would invite everyone who's watching to be a part of the USS Kalayaan. If you're not yet a Star Trek fan, then that's fine. Let's close it, Star Wars geeks
Was it
kami.
Star Wars Geeks?
Ano siya eh, with Star Trek, the Star Trek Philippines group, we, like earlier, I think nag message si Nina Reyes, nag hi si Chef Joey Prats. Like we would have meetups. Like we would meet and talk about Trek stuff. And we would have Holy Trek Day, which is it would fall on Holy
September 8th.
Thursday. No, it falls on Holy Thursday, Holy Week.
Ah, sorry, but the
So
Star Trek Day was September 8th. So, Holy Trek
uh
Day naman is ano.
Star Trek, yeah, there's Star Trek Day, but locally, like we would like the community would have this like tradition of meeting on Holy Trek Day, and there's also the Star Trek Philippines Christmas party. So syempre, we're in a pandemic right now, so we haven't done that in a couple of years. So you would see members wearing their Starfleet uniforms. Some of them would come as aliens with all the makeup. Yes, Nina, I would like to confirm that Trekkies in the Philippines are quite reclusive. Medyo like some of us are a bit more outspoken, are a bit more, how would I say, parang extroverts. I guess like
Mm.
myself, like I love telling stories, but a lot of the people from the Star Trek community here in the Philippines na like really maalam, like they know a lot about the fandom, they tend to be reclusive.
Mm.
And so it takes a little bit to get them out of their shell. But once they do, ay ang saya kausap. Like the people in that community, they're so fun to talk to in person. Hopefully we can do stuff again. after the pandemic, and it's a fun, it's a fun community.
Yes.
Like you're seeing right now, the
It's the
original series
original
crew.
Star Trek.
Yeah. So
Original.
you see Shekov, you see Bones,
Yep.
um,
Bones.
you see Spock and Kirk
Spock.
and Uhura and
Hmm.
Scotty,
Scotty.
and
Beam me up, Scotty.
Sulu. So for those who are
Ah,
Leadership
not
there, yeah, that's
program
familiar,
Solo.
yeah,
feature.
if you're not familiar yet, yes, Sulu is named after Sulu C.
Ah,
Wow.
okay. I did not
Oh,
know that.
you did not know that? Okay. So George Takei's
No.
character was named after
The
the
Solo Sea.
Philippine, maritime territory, maritime body of water, Sulu Sea, hence Zulu,
Ah,
Sulu.
okay.
So, um, other than that, there are a lot of Filipinos in Star Trek. In lower decks, Eugene Cordero plays, a Star Trek character.
Oh,
So it's
which character is he there?
the guy with wait, I have to Google him up.
Oh, Chapel.
No, he's the guy with the. Ah, yeah, there's Chapel. Thank you for reminding me,
Hmm.
Nina. If, for those who are watching, you have to help me out here. Also for fan interaction. The guy with the optical, the cyborg implant
Oh,
for. I don't want to open my Google right now. He's portrayed by Eugene Cordero.
Ah.
but Sir Flash, aside from the Star Trek community, I
Yeah, go ahead.
always ask this to people, ng mga naging guest namin. If ever that in our lifetime, if ever that Star Trek did not exist, which do you think could have been your favorite franchise?
Oh, Lord of the Rings. That's a
Ah,
very
yeah.
easy question to answer. But
The
like
Shire.
kahawig ni
Kawig ni
Horace
Horace
Grant
Grant
sa
yung NBA Jam, yung parang
Classic.
psycho.
oh, that's
Ah, yeah,
Georgie LaForge.
Georgie LaForge, yes.
Geordie is
This is
the
actually budget Geordie LaForge cosplay right here.
chief
I think
engineer.
Sly Guy, we should feature every community. The Alien versus Predator community, the G.I. Joe community, if
Oh, I'm also the
whatever
founder
Oh,
of
community is
he's
out
the
also the
there.
founder of the G.I. Joe
I'm
community
also the founder of the oldest
and Lord of
GI
the
So
Joe
I think
Rings.
we're
community
gonna
in the
have a
Philippines.
part two with you, sir.
Yeah, he's gonna be
No,
here a lot.
I'd like to give chance to others. I'd like to give chance to others. No worries. But in terms of Trek in the Philippines, I think one of the biggest gatherings we've had was the premiere of Star Trek Beyond, which is
Mm.
from 5 years ago. In fact, before this live stream, I was watching Star Trek Beyond on Netflix, just as background.
Oh,
You
nice.
know,
Sabi
you
ni
know,
Roach, maganda yung Star Trek sa UGs. Sir Roach, hindi kami familiar sa UGs.
behave,
What's
babe.
that? Is that
We're
like
good boys.
Netflix? I don't
Kidding
know.
aside.
I've never been to you whatever.
Pornhub, yeah.
Oh yeah, there you
Eugene
go.
Pornhub.
Cordero plays NZ.
Rutherford, the
Ah,
character. I had
Einstein
to go.
Sam Rutherford. Okay,
So
there you go.
I had to Google that. Sorry, Eugene Cordero. So
Okay,
so yeah,
and
it's
also a
Rutherford.
question with the Prodigy. One curious thing is that they don't actually tell you what race Dal RL is.
Not yet.
They haven't revealed his race yet because si Rocktak, si Gwen, and the other well, si Zero is obviously a Borg, but
Yeah, he's
si
a floating.
Jan Compog, si no, Murph, si Diviner, parang the big boss who
Yeah,
pulls the strings from the background. They've revealed their races. They've revealed
the diviner is
their
portrayed by John Noble,
oh John Noble.
Dennis
Wow.
Denethor, Denethor from
Ah, Denethor from
the father of Boromir and Faramir.
yeah. Wow. Didn't know that he was actually portrayed by Denethor. Okay, although he doesn't sound as crazy as Denethor sounded in Return of a King. He sounded more calm in Star Trek
Yeah.
Prodigy. Okay, so now let's just say, because I think they're looking for some sort of race in there.
Yeah.
It's like the first I forgot what it's like the first
We'll find out more.
person, the first
We won't
something.
spoil the
So
show.
yeah, we won't spoil the show. Okay, but okay,
But for
they're
I want to put it out there. I want to put it out there. Sly Guy and David Beat for the parents or for the adults who have kids at home, and those adults were into Star Trek before. I would recommend that you show or you let the younger ones watch Star Trek Prodigy. I'm not kidding.
mm,
It's a fun show. It's a fun show. It has this, Star Wars Rebels, Clone Wars
yes,
vibe with a bit of Guardians of the Galaxy. But but at some point it slowly but surely feels like Star Trek. You have that sense of awe, and like this sense of fun in exploration. It's always
mm,
nice, like like how people are so into space travel. Like
mm,
they get so excited when people go to space, like go to the International Space Station, going back to the
mm,
moon, going to Mars. Diba? So you have that same sense of parang awesomeness. Like I don't know, I
mm.
felt that, watching Star Trek Prodigy. And so that's why I want to recommend it to my friends who are into, you know, Star Trek. Papanood nyo dun sa mga kids na ninyo, or to your, younger siblings, or to your cousins, or what have you. And
Yes, and they'll definitely
yeah,
enjoy it.
yeah.
Ganda ng
I
build
really
up, ang
want
ganda
more
ng
people.
story.
I really want more people to get into Star Trek. Actually, I'm curious right now. I just can't read it. Maybe we can show some comments. Like, what was your first contact? I want to find out, those who are watching, like, if you ever watched Star Trek, what was your first contact? Ano yung una mong show? Or like in the case of David, I'm not sure. Maybe his first contact is a comic book. Hindi siya TV show, right? So it's never too late. I don't know.
My
Maybe
first
for
contact with Star Trek is a TV commercial about the movie when I was a kid. That
which
was the
movie?
first time when I realized there is a franchise called Star Trek.
Oh,
And growing up, I thought it was the no it was the best rival for Star Wars. Hindi naman pala.
no, no, no. There, I don't like
Because
to
of the
think
word
of them as
star.
rivals. Oh, kasi may star lang eh, no?
Mm.
Pero like it's its own genre. Like I would like to think that it's its own, genre. Um
The
oh
search for
yan.
Spock, RPN9
Okay.
yun. There's the
I
Okay, Star
remember
Trek
that on
3.
RPN 9.
Okay.
Glory
So
days
that's
ng RPN
the
9 yan eh.
it's
mm,
always a beautiful thing when people tell Star Trek fans about their first contact. Alam mo yung pag sinabi mo, alam mo, first time kong mag Star Trek was,
mm,
because of this. Or like, oh, I got back into Star Trek because of this. So like, let's say, I reintroduced myself to Star Trek The Next Generation because of Netflix. Kasi may legal way na of watching it. And then
mm,
I got so, hyped up, I had to introduce Star Trek to my son, Dwayne. And so like Dwayne is now a full-blown Trekkie. He watched Discovery, he watched Picard,
mm,
he watched The Next Generation, he watched the movies. And so, you know, he's 17. My son is 17. So, unti-unti, alam mo yun, unti-unti, like, he got into Star Trek, and then it was just, downhill from there. Rabbit hole talaga yun eh, pag nag-umpisa ka na. And
mm.
actually curious, like, Sly Guy is a bit very familiar with a lot of Trek characters. And so,
Seven
what
of
was
Nine.
your first contact?
Yeah, first contact would be my two college friends. They were the ones who introduced Star Trek to us because we were into Star Wars. and they'd invite us to their house every weekend. It would be Friday. We'd finish school. We'd just go there. We'd hang out. They'd give pizza. We'd go swimming in their pool, and then when we're at the couch just relaxing, okay, they'd have this PC connected to one of their large screen TVs. They'd play Star Trek. Well, they were illegal Star Trek episodes, but we downloaded of the web, and it was Next Generation. I liked Next Generation because of the cast. You had Whoopi Goldberg as Gillian, Patrick Stewart
Yeah.
as Jean-Luc Picard. You even had Kristen Dunst who was there. So
Yeah. Yeah.
a lot of them were
Yeah. Ashley
prominent
Judd was
actors.
there. Yeah.
Ashley Judd was also there. So I knew these actors and actresses, and I said, "Wait, these guys are all on a spaceship. Okay, let's see how this goes." And then
Yeah.
um, out of nowhere, they started showing other episodes where I got introduced to General Chang, si Khan, and the Borg Queen. And yun, parang you just get so drawn into it
Yeah.
that you watch it, and it was just like this session. It was like, huh, did you guys invite us here just to get us into Star Trek so that we could enjoy? Because siguro ano, wala silang makausap sa school, so we're trying to get people to go into it. But after that, whenever they'd make Star Wars jokes in school, whenever they'd make videos, multimedia video, because multimedia arts kami, we made videos, we made graphics. Every time they'd make something, all of a sudden we started getting their jokes na. And then
Yeah.
it came to a point that they'd crack Star Trek jokes, and kami lang sa back row natatawa because we're the ones ano eh. Kami yung na-influensyahan nila eh. So yun, that would be my first contact with Star
That's a
Trek.
Nina
beautiful
Reyes
story.
says a book based
Mm.
on TOS episode, then followed by TNG on RPN 9, and Picard is my captain, although Pike is fast catching up.
Oh.
I was asking the Sly Guy for a few weeks now. Pare, may ma-interview ba tayo? Anyone related to the Trek community in the Philippines? The reason for that,
Mm.
Sir Flash, is because ako growing up, I felt like I haven't paid enough attention to the existence of Star Trek. Sorry Munti ko na masabi Star Wars.
Okay lang.
Kasi growing up, you've been exposed to to a lot of genre like anime, GI Joe, RoboCop,
Yeah.
Ninja Turtles, Marvel, DC, Dragon Ball Z. Parang I did not have a childhood long enough to enjoy at least one more franchise like Star Trek or maybe in fact hindi ko nga napanood yung yung movie na Starship Troopers back in the 90s.
Oh yeah.
Kung may
That
social
was with
media trending sana yon, di ba?
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, Star Trek
I
Troopers
haven't paid
was
enough attention
Starship
to
Troopers
a
was good.
great franchise. That's how I felt as a geek. Parang there's a missing puzzle with everything that I should have enjoyed.
And
Yeah. Thank you
yeah,
very much, Sir Flash, for giving us the chance tonight.
thank you. Appreciate that. And it's never too late to get into Star Trek. Like Nina
Kaya
was,
nga, I was
Nina made a
catching up with
comment.
this comic book.
Oh, and Nina actually made a comment na, Picard is my captain. Like some of like the geeks that you would interview, that are into Star Trek, like a common conversation piece is who's your captain? Like who do you think is like your favorite captain? It doesn't have to be like the best, but like who is your favorite captain? Like in my case, I would go with what Nina would have said. She said Picard is my captain. I agree with her. Picard is
Ako,
also my captain. Picard is my favorite captain. Picard is
kaya
Jean si
yung
Patrick Stewart.
conversations na ganyan, I think if I
Mm.
encounter someone in a comic convention, yan ang kwentuhan, I might be an outcast eh.
Hindi, maganda
That
naman.
could
Like you
be
can
the
start.
feeling. Kaya this episode is really very helpful to complete the geekdom inside of my heart. Kaya
That's good.
thank you, Nina Reyes, John Russell Yao, Roach,
Madami pa
Sly
yan.
Guy.
Madami pa yan.
Thank you for tonight's.
Mm.
I consider this as the best birthday gift kasi birthday ko bukas.
Happy birthday. Well, mamaya.
Happy birthday, mamaya.
It's like
Mga
Few
12.
minutes from now.
a few minutes from now. And some of my friends, like let's say shout outs to Liz Hocano. Her captain is Janeway, if I'm not mistaken. And she's a
Hmm.
huge Janeway fan. She's the first female captain on a Star Trek show. For Voyager. Some of my friends like they see Casey Kopenko. His favorite captain is Benjamin Sisko from DS9. By the way,
Hmm.
DS9 is not a ship; it's a space station. So Deep Space Nine is like this one, yeah. Deep Space Nine. That's a that's a floating space station. It's like the ISS, the International
Ah,
Space
okay. So
Station.
it's not a
Siguro
ship;
Sly Guy,
it's a
one
space
last question.
station. Hmm.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, one last question. Everybody keeps asking about their favorite captain. What about your favorite villain in Star Trek?
Crap. Okay. Favorite villain for Star Trek would be Lore. Lore is
Lore.
the
Okay.
brother of Data. He's also portrayed by the
Ah,
same actor,
okay.
portrayed by Brent
Mhm.
Spiner. So he's like
Ah,
the
okay.
evil android twin. It's the evil android brother, Lore. So
Yeah, I think he was
that,
just trying to
yeah,
impress Doctor Song, but
Nunyen Sung, yeah.
yeah, no yun Song. But instead, he got into this rivalry with Data in the series.
Oh my God, Nina, Q,
Si
yes.
Q naman.
Oh my God.
Oh,
Okay,
Q.
Q is that's just one letter. I know. Ah, yeah, that's actually a good answer. Thank you, Nina. So I get excited talking about Star Trek as much as I get excited talking about The Lord of the Rings and GI Joe and Ninja Turtles. And a few other fandoms, Star Wars and DC. Obviously, my nickname is Flash. For crying out
Hmm.
loud. But one of the most beloved characters in Star Trek is Q. And if you haven't met Q yet, you start off with the next generation, and then like
Hmm.
you'll see him again next year for Star Trek Picard season 2. Q, John Delancey, beautiful character,
Ah, very.
beautiful
Can
Anyway,
we
character.
also say that Q is also a name of a race? Is that right?
Technically yes, technically yes, a race of supreme beings. Pero yeah,
Hmm.
Q. Oh my god, I love that character.
Hmm.
I was going for the villain discovery. See, so like so many shows, so many series. So for those who are watching and who are going to rewatch this live stream, I cannot stress it enough. Please do not be intimidated with Star Trek.
all right.
It's
Thank
Oh
you
it's
very
a
yes.
good
much.
show.
Yeah, Sir
And
Flash.
Q is like the Superman of Star Trek, right? He's like the strongest. Is that correct?
He's somewhat like a celestial being. It's like part,
Wow.
you know,
Anyway,
omnipotent,
yeah.
omniscient.
Thank you,
Ah,
Sir
okay.
Flash Antonio. I almost called you Flash Gordon. I'm sorry.
No, 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 that's
And
fine.
Buck
I
Rogers.
get I get that a lot.
And Sly Guy. Sorry, a while ago I was late. Something went wrong on my way home. The Vermont's traffic. Anyway,
I hope you're doing
we
okay.
have a Twitter account. We have a YouTube channel. Facebook page. Ito na po yung pinanonood nyo. We have a Walker Strip account. Now, what the hell is Walker Strip? Walker Strip is a Filipino-made travel app and social media in one, combined into one. It's an
Hmm.
earning app. All right. You can download the Walker Strip app. It's free on Google Play Store for people who use Android 6 and above. Soon it will be available on desktop and iOS. Upon signing up, after downloading, you're going to register. You need to use a referral code. The referral username is geeks underscore hideout. Then introduce the
Hmm.
app to your friends. Every friend who uses the app, they will need a referral code as well. And they can use your personal username as their referral username, and that will give you points. Every new user is equal to 1 point. 1 point is equal to 1 peso. Now, if you're going to book a hotel when you travel's about to come back, you get a commission. You get a commission from, I mean, the people who use your username as a referral code will get a commission from the transaction that you just made. Kunyari, si Sly Guy, siya yung referral ko, ako yung magta-travel. I will make a transaction in a hotel, automatically the Sly Guy receives a commission.
Yep, I get
Medyo
money
magulo na
for every
explanation ko,
hotel
inaantok na ako.
reservation you
But
book.
we will have tutorials soon coming out para di kayo malito. And one more thing, we have our official Facebook group. It's called Geek Pop Hobby Club. Sali na natin sa Sir Flash dyan.
Mm,
If you have live streams, you can share it there. You have collectibles to sell. You have a captured market here
mm.
with all the members. It's a growing community. Let's keep the geekdom alive. All right.
Yes.
And tomorrow's live, sinong guest natin?
Tomorrow's guest, okay, she is a cosplayer, influencer, and astrologist from California. Yay! We will be welcoming Miss Jaya Reader to the Geeks Hideout tomorrow. And that'll be same time, 10 p.m. Manila time,
Sir
or
Flash
6
Antonio,
a.m. Pacific.
anything, any advice or anything that you want to promote, like your social media platforms that you have, and if there are people who wants to join the Trekky community, how can they contact you?
Okay.
How can they get in touch with you?
Well, first of all, I want to thank everybody who joined tonight. Some
Thank
of my
you.
friends dropped by, Nina, Chef Joy Prats, Francis, John Russell Yao, um, Chef Joey Prats, by the way, and I also have to give a shout out to my wife and kids, Christine and Dwayne and
Mhm.
Dylan. Dwayne is the Trekkie in the family, the other
Oh,
Trekkie.
nice. Dylan will
So
follow soon.
Dylan is actually the older sibling. Dylan is a female. She's a girl.
Oh,
So, but she's the
oh,
ate. But
sorry.
Dwayne is into the fandom as well. He's like super into Star Trek right now. Whereas Dylan is more into Star Wars. So
Okay.
it's a cross between the two siblings.
It's a
But yeah,
balance in
again,
the force.
there's a balance in the in the force. I appreciate all of the people who watched, and um, if I may promote, hopefully you guys would get so into Trek that you would try to find like-minded individuals. Please join Star Trek Philippines, USS Kalayaan. By the way, Nina is an officer for the USS Kalayaan. Um, so we have, like officers similar to a Starfleet hierarchy, um, and promoting my socials. I have a media page, which is facebook.com/Flash Antonio PH. I have a YouTube channel, which I use for interviews and, features and toy reviews. Like it's a smorgasbord of everything. It's pop culture, NBA, Super Sentai, things like that. What else? A little, reminder about Star Trek. As I close
Mm,
tonight's, guesting, I really wanted to be a part of, this stream because I felt that, more people should be able to watch Star Trek. More people should be able to enjoy Star Trek. And for those who
mm.
were not able to enjoy them when they were younger, like let's say David, it's never too late. There are a lot of shows coming out right now. In fact, top of mind when 2022 comes in, five shows are simultaneously
Mm.
pretty much happening in the Star Trek, uh,
I gotta do a lot
space.
of catching up.
So you can slowly get into it. Like you can get into. I think like 2021, 2022 is like the most active. You know, like season. Five ongoing shows. Five.
Wow.
Up to a certain point, because you have Star Trek Discovery season 4, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be renewed for season 5. You have Star Trek Prodigy Season 1 with 20 episodes. So tatawid yon ng 2022. You have Star Trek Lower Decks. Nakakatapos lang ng Season 2. But I'm pretty sure it's gonna have a Season 3. You have Star Trek Picard Season 2, wherein you're going to see Q again, as mentioned earlier. And of course, Captain Jean-Luc Picard.
Hmm.
And Star Trek Strange New Worlds with
Ah.
uh, Captain Christopher Pike, number one, and Spock.
Mhm.
So it's a spin-off show from Star Trek Discovery. And then there's ano pa pala,
Oh,
the
okay.
Black Ops Star Trek show with um Michelle Yeoh. Oh my god, there's like 6 Star Trek shows coming out. So, yun, it's a fun time to be. Oh, hello, Levi Agoncillo. So it's a fun time to be a Star Trek fan. I really want people to join in and become, Star Trek fans. Up until
Mhm.
then, till our next geeky adventure, live long and prosper, guys.
Live long and prosper.
Kaya
Yes,
mapapractice nyo na tong
I agree.
LLAP nyo, di ba? You have to
Kaya nga
practice
eh.
splitting
We're gonna have to
your,
practice
your
that.
fingers.
Putting our
I've been
fingers like
doing
that.
that symbol since I got involved with some paranormal experts.
So, yan. Di
Pag
ba? Like,
nag-UFO
kahit
sightings
nakapikit.
dati, gumaganyan kami.
So, yeah, live long and prosper. I appreciate being on this show. Thank you so much,
Shoutouts to
everyone.
the UFO Society of the Philippines. Sir Flash, thank you, Sly
Yep.
Guy. It's been a very interesting night. It's been a lovely evening. Thank you, Nina Reyes, Levy, Humabol. Thank you. And thank you, everyone. See you again tomorrow evening. Same time ba tayo, Sly Guy?
Yes, it's the same time, 10 p.m. tomorrow
10
evening.
o'clock in the evening. Same
Pop,
Facebook page. This
pop-promote
has
ko
been
lang
David
talaga
Beat
to. Yan.
together with Sir
Mm.
Flash and Sly Guy. And good night. Bye-bye.
Here's a Kalayaan.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. This is the USS
Yeah, hopefully
Kalayaan.
that goes into space someday.
With
Oh,
Soon, it may
this
go into space.
Spectrum War crossover with the Green Lanterns.